Take the bat. Take the bat and get ready to hit. Come on. Yeah, well, that's a good start. That's a good start. I mean, but you're trying to hit a softball, not a burglar. That's good. Angela's going to take some batting practice.
Mom's batting?
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, you can do me a favor. Go down the end of the driveway and shag some balls for her.
Goes on the left hand, sweetheart.
Okay. But I'll need my book, too. It might be a long time before she hits one.
Thank you, darling, for the vote of confidence.
Hey, Sam, do me a favor. You pitch so I can get a load of Angela's swing.
Dad, do you think this is a good idea? I mean, she might break a window at the Haverns.
The Haverns all the way across the street?
Hello. Welcome back to AOOA, the Who's the Boss podcast. We didn't talk about who's going to do that tonight. So
that's okay. That was good. You did good.
I have one Nana note that I got. Remember in Angela's new best friend when we were talking about the ice cream flavor of butter brickle? Mm-hmm. Neither of us are familiar with butter brickle. I don't know if anyone else is. But I said my parents used to own a Carvel when I was a kid, and I didn't remember butter brickle. And my mom texted me and said she does not remember butter brickle either. So I don't know. Maybe it was like a northern flavor?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it was what's that one that's in Cincinnati and the ice cream?
Skyline chili.
No. That's actually chili. But that's good. No, it's the ice cream. Graters.
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Graters. I wonder if Graters has it.
Flavor of that. Okay.
I'm
we'll
just throwing stuff out there and we'll see.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't have any news.
No news on the revival. Nothing.
No, not yet. Okay, so we'll get right to it then. So tonight we're going to cover Season 2, Episode 24. This is called The Unnatural. Mm-hmm. It first aired April 8th, 1986, and the TV Guide summary says, Tony and a competitive friend from his baseball days put together teams for a friendly softball game. It was written by Ellen Gillis. So we've heard her name before.
Yeah. I remember that name.
Yeah, so she wrote this episode.
And the name, The Unnatural, comes from the... what I believe, obviously, would be from the Robert Redford movie, The Natural. And,
yeah.
Yeah, and so it's The Unnatural, because the Robert Redford movie, is it recounts the experiences of Roy Hobbs, an individual with great natural baseball talent.
Oh, I see.
Spanning decades of Roy's career.
Angela doesn't have talent.
So essentially, Robert Redford plays a baseball player who just has natural talent. He can do no wrong. Goes out there and... it's kind of a crazy movie, but, the story it's good. It's a good movie. If you like baseball, it's a great movie. But that's where the name The Unnatural comes from.
Yeah, and quick side note, there's also an X-Files episode about baseball called The Unnatural. And it is because
they ripped off Who's the Boss?
Yes, exactly. It has the almost exact storyline, except Mulder plays the Angela part. No, not at all. So it's about...
I want to say, I watched that episode. I don't remember it. They had me for a minute.
It's about a baseball player who's actually an alien, who looks like a human.
That makes more sense.
So that's why it's called The Unnatural.
That actually...
because he's an alien.
Works well, because he's, not a natural citizen. He's an alien. He's from outer space.
Right. Okay, so when this episode opens... Again, we have something that goes along, doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the episode, which is Mona is helping Sam, hem a dress. Either Mona has made this dress for her, or she's hemming the bottom. I'm not sure. But it's just kind of a cute little, this is something that your grandmother would do.
Right.
When you were a kid.
It doesn't have to have any story.
No,
she's
doesn't.
Getting the dress ready for something. It's
a
just
family
things
thing.
That are going on.
Right. Things that are going on around the house. So yeah, it's really cute that she's, either making this dress for Sam or hemming it for her. And so she's showing her the length, and she's like, how does it look? And Sam's like, it looks great. Tony's not actually looking at them because he's doing dishes, but he says, it's too short.
Right, without looking.
Sam's like, how do you know you didn't even look? He says, I know the seamstress.
I know the seamstress.
Right. And so just then, Angela starts yodeling from the living room that she's home. And they're all like, oh, we're in the kitchen. And she comes...
Well, I like that. Is it Mona that says, is it moose season already?
Yeah.
It's like, gosh.
So she comes into the kitchen and she has someone with her, and his name is Josh Brady. So this actor is played by Casey Sander. And at this point, he was a character actor who had been in like a single episode of a lot of shows. But years later, he went on to do Grace Under Fire.
Oh, okay.
I never watched. Yeah, he plays Wade. I think that's her husband. I never watched that show, but I know it was on for quite a while. And I think it says like 113 episodes or something that he's in.
I watched some of that because I worked in master control at a TV station that aired it, so it would play during my shift. So I watched it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen. But I'd
have to see it again to be like, oh, that's
right.
What's his name?
Right, Wade. That's Josh Brady.
That's
Casey
Josh
Sander.
Brady.
Yeah, I have seen episodes of it. I remember it was on. Let me see when it was on.
I'd say mid-90s.
Yeah, 93 to 98. So I was busy watching the X-Files.
Right, so too busy to watch Grace Under Fire.
But yeah, I do remember seeing some episodes, and he does look familiar to me. So he comes in, and Tony knows him. So they have a history together. They used to play baseball together when Tony was a second baseman.
That's right.
So he introduces Josh to his daughter. He's like, oh, this is your daughter? She must get her looks from her mother.
Right, immediately an insult.
Right. And Sam says, yes, but I got my dad slide into second base.
Right.
And Josh also played second base. So we're setting up some competition between Tony and Josh right away. Also, Josh can grow a pretty mean mustache, and we've never seen Tony in a mustache, so I think there's some competition there as well.
Is that right?
Yes.
And then she says, well, Samantha says, don't you know who that is? Because Angela didn't know who it was.
Oh, right. Wait, really? When did that happen?
She says that's the best baseball player and
the
best second baseman in the American League. Or
right.
I'm sorry, in all of Major League Baseball or whatever. And then she says, well, but of course, you're the exception, whatever.
Right, except for you, Dad.
I can't get anything out tonight, except for you, Dad.
Have another sip of beer.
Yeah,
loosen
really.
up your tongue. So Tony's like, wait a minute. And he and Josh start reminiscing a bit about the shenanigans that they used to get into when they were younger.
Right. Well, when they were baseball players, I think.
Right. Okay, so here's another thing about Who's the Boss. They're very unclear about the timeline of when Tony was married, when he played baseball,
right,
and when his wife died. Mm-hmm. And this is going to come up several times throughout the series. So, like, he and this guy are going back and forth about, like, oh, remember Atlanta? Right. And then Mona's like, is this the guy with the triplets from Budapest?
Right.
And actually, it was Copenhagen. So, he corrects her on that. But, so...
why Tony and Mona had a conversation about the triplets is disturbing within itself. But let's not... Well, that's just for another time.
Yeah, they're just. Hey,
let me tell you about these triplets that me and another buddy got with. You know, like why would he be telling Mona that story?
If there's anyone you're going to tell that story to and get like a high five, it's going to be Mona. Yeah. So I know that is very bizarre. I didn't think of that until right now. But so we're led to believe that Tony got married pretty young. He had Sam when he was about 19. Based on his age and her age.
Oh, okay. So then he went and played baseball.
So then they're not really clear as to how old Sam was when her mom died. So if you want to believe that Tony didn't cheat on his wife, then you have to assume that the wife died when he was at some point in the minors. Then he continued to play, made the majors.
And Mrs. Rosini was
Mrs. Rosini took care of Sam. Then he hurt his shoulder. Then he came home. And then they moved in.
That's a good point because it sounds like he slept his way from town to town.
Right, and it comes up in other episodes. It's not just this one. But there is a point, I think even in the pilot, Mona says, he hurt his shoulder, and it was right around that time that his wife died. So the timeline that they set up for us in the pilot doesn't make sense based on this. So either Tony cheated on his wife a lot while he was a baseball player, which doesn't really seem like something Tony would do, or they just were like, you know what, no one's ever gonna have a podcast where they're gonna break down the timeline. So yeah, so just ignore the timeline there now.
Right. But I mean, it's the whole thing about baseball player. I mean, that's a pretty well-known thing, at least. I wouldn't say back in the day. It's probably still a thing. Younger baseball players, they go from town to town and they just
anytime a
women.
Man has any sort of power and goes from town to town.
Sorry, I mentioned this.
He's going to sleep with as many as, yeah. I mean, rock stars, baseball players.
Right, same thing. It's the same thing. Right. So that's what I think
traveling salesmen who are
we were baseball players. We were
relatively attractive.
Famous. We made a lot of money.
Right.
You can go from town to town and we slept with women.
Right, yeah, I'm sure. Yes. And so then Tony's like, he says to Angela, how do you know Josh?
Right.
And he asks Angela if she's been hanging out in singles bars. It does sound like Angela, but no, that's actually not. They are doing a campaign together, and then she found out that Josh knew Tony, so she brought him home so that they could hang out. And it's some kind of cologne, I think.
Yeah, Scamp.
Scamp, right.
Scamp.
You know what's funny is, so for the last few episodes, I've been actually taking the closed captioning so that I don't have to. Getting a transcript of
Scamp come up as?
It bleeped it out.
Oh.
So I get the closed captioning file and then I put it in Google Docs so I don't have to write out all the dialogue. And yeah, it said if you want. What was the actual line? Yes, if
you want to pick up a tramp, use Scamp.
And in my text file, tramp was just a couple of lines. So it must know to look for bad words, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, it probably does.
So, yeah. So Tony's like, okay, so again, we've got the word tramp on an 8 p.m. family show. And then Tony's like, how about you let Angela deal with the slogans?
Yeah, really. Pick up a tramp.
So we cut to later that night. They are out in the backyard having a little barbecue. So I wonder if Mrs. Wilmington is watching this happen from her bedroom window and crying, because that was one of the things she brought up. I've seen the little barbecues in the snow.
Oh, yeah, right.
So they're all kind of like hanging out in the backyard. I'm guessing it was a barbecue unless they just went outside to eat. And Josh asked Tony, do you still play ball anymore?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got the impression they were just kind of like sitting around a campfire or something. I wasn't even really, sitting around a campfire, but just outside eating. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's dinner.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are.
No,
They're
there's
not
corn on the cob.
Right.
There's solo cups.
Yeah. They grilled out. That's what you did then. You grilled out and you ate outside.
Right. Is that a steak? Well, and it's springtime now in Connecticut, so they're probably pretty excited to be able to go outside.
It's probably real nice.
So he asked Tony, do you still play baseball? And he's like, no, just some Sandlot stuff. Well, what does that mean? Is that like just like pickup games?
Movie Sandlot. Yeah, like pickup games.
Okay.
Sandlot, it just means you went and you go out and play baseball with your friends, whatever,
Gotcha.
like a pickup game.
Yeah. And Sam says he also coaches my softball team. Mm-hmm. And she said they came in third in the league last year. And then he's like, I do a little coaching myself, and we won our division. So they're kind of starting to go at each other a bit about who is a better coach. So Tony's like, yeah, it sounds like you're trying to say you are a better coach than I am. And there's like, no, we're just playing around. So they decide maybe we should have a pickup game, and you coach one team and I coach another team, and we'll see how the teams do.
Yep.
They decide it's going to be co-ed, 3 women on each team. And the game's going to be next Saturday. So they have a week to get the... at this point, there was no talk about Mona being the umpire.
No, not once.
But that must happen at some point.
And then they just get up to the point of the game. They're like, what are we going to do with Mona? I guess you could have put her in the stands.
And a little naive Angela, when they're like talking about a pickup game, she's like, are you going to try to go and see who can pick up the most women?
That's disgusting.
And Sam explains it to her again, like, no, they're talking about having a team.
Right, but in her
Playing
defense, they were talking about earlier about Atlanta and St.
True,
Louis
yeah,
and Chicago and how they were going from town to town. So she probably just assumed pickup game means you go out and pick up women.
So then they also say that the players can't be pros, obviously, so non-pros. And then they agree on 3 women, and Mona says non-pros, of course, also.
Right, what does that mean?
I'm guessing that's a sex worker joke. Like, no professional... I don't know. I mean, unless Mona knows, like, a whole team of professional women softball players.
Right, or her joke is there are no professional women.
Oh, yeah, you know what that might be?
Like, no pros.
Yeah, so maybe she is making a joke about the fact that women don't have baseball teams.
Right, like that's the obvious.
Okay, so then right. Know. But I kind of like that joke because I just assumed with it being Mona that she
went
was
right
like,
to sex workers.
You can't go get prostitutes and put them on your softball team.
Right, that's where you went.
Okay, but I like this one. Right. Right. I like this. So she's calling out the fact that women haven't gotten their due in professional sports. Okay, I like that. So the next scene, and so I got a message from your brother because he's watching along with us, and he was like, "Did you notice how much food they brought back into the kitchen?" And I didn't notice until just now. There's like full plates of ribs that they're like nobody ate. Nobody ate anything. So maybe Tony burned everything or something.
Why didn't they just just leave the scene where instead of them gathering?
I don't know. Gathering
then
full
they're
plates.
Gathering full. Like,
right.
Like it looks like Jonathan's got like a full T-bone steak in front of him or something that he didn't eat. He didn't even touch his corn.
No, nobody ate anything. They got so riled up about the softball game.
Yeah, that was it. We got to start getting ready.
Yeah. So the next scene is Tony and Dr. Ferguson coming in after playing some baseball. So we've seen Dr. Ferguson before. Right. He's played by Jim Jansen. That is Marcy's father.
Oh, that's right. Marcy's father.
Yeah.
I forgot which one he
was. And his full name is Dr. Doyle Ferguson. I feel like I need to say that.
Why?
Because his name is Doyle.
Oh, okay.
Not a name you hear very often.
No, Doyle.
Like, where did they even come up with that?
I don't know. Doyle Ferguson. Probably somebody Tony knew.
So...
Guy we used to beat up in school. Doyle.
Oh, poor Doyle. So Ferguson. Doyle's like, sorry, I'm a little rusty out there. And Tony's like, no problem. I'm sure all the surgery you do makes your reflexes a little dull. Yeah. So, and Dr. Ferguson's like, yeah, I shouldn't be too hard on myself because it's only a game. And that's not what Tony wanted to hear.
No.
So he's like, you never say that. Yeah. So they're going over like some of the, what do you call it? Signals? Signs? Okay. Yeah, about what different things mean. So I don't know anything about baseball, but do teams make up their own signs? This way the other team doesn't know what the sign is?
Yes, that's the whole point. Instead of them yelling out swing at this one.
But it's not like sign language where everything is the same. It's not a universal language.
No, it's anything he's doing right there could mean anything.
Okay, gotcha.
And signs can change from game to game. They don't even, like a team doesn't have the same signs all year long.
Oh, that would be really hard to remember.
The other teams can start to pick up by watching the old films or...
I see.
I say films. The footage, they start to pick up the
8mm.
The signs, right.
So Angela comes in, and she's asking them what they're doing. He says they're going over the signs, and that's the sign for hit and run.
Right, hit and run.
Yeah. And she's like, wouldn't it make more sense if you... What?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, she says, wouldn't it make more sense? And then she punches Tony, and then she does running fingers on her hand for hit and run.
Right, hit and run. Well, what's funny is... He says, no, that's hit and run. But before that, she says that and does that. She said that he said, you know what that sign is? And she said, you can't find your wallet? Because what he's doing is he's rubbing the back of his pants over and over again with both hands. And she's like, is that sign for you can't find your wallet? Which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm with Angela on this one.
I know, like, what is he doing? He's bent over, rubbing his rear end with both hands.
So then she's like, wouldn't that be better sign for hit and run? And he says, yeah, if we were playing Helen Keller.
Yeah.
That joke it's not funny and it doesn't make sense because...
Helen Keller wouldn't be able to run. I mean, she'd be able to run, but she wouldn't know which direction.
She wouldn't be able to see the sign because she was deaf and blind.
Right. Or be able to run in the right direction. I mean, she could, but she'd probably go off course a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just a dumb joke.
let's not go down that road.
Okay.
It is a really dumb joke.
So they're like, Tony says, okay, well, we need to figure out, we still need to pick another woman for our team. They never show us where they got any of the other women for these teams, but they are on the teams when we see them play.
That's true.
So he and Dr. Ferguson are talking about it, and Angela's in the background humming the baseball theme. Is that the baseball theme?
Yes.
Take me
out to the ball game.
Right. Tony's like,
with her big glasses.
Yes. And her little ribbon in her hair.
I know, she's got this like reverting back to a child feel
little
here.
girl look to her
Little girl
hair.
feel.
Like, please pick me.
Right. And she's trying to talk all cute.
Yeah. So Tony's like, Angela, can you keep it down? We're trying to figure out another woman to put on our team.
I know.
And so she just goes for it and asks, how about me? And he's like, no, I don't think so. And he throws it to Dr. Ferguson. What do you think, Dr. Ferguson? And Dr. Ferguson in front of Angela is like, oh, of course. Yeah, sure. One, what does he say? One for all and all for one.
All for one, yeah.
And then as soon as Angela turns her back, he starts making choking noises and no signs to Tony.
Right. Like he's making signs.
Yes. But these signs, I think
obvious.
Anyone would be able to, yeah. Any teen's going to be able to figure out that sign.
Choke.
So Dr. Ferguson leaves, and Angela's like, come on, please, nobody ever let me play when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And Tony says, well, then you're probably used to it by now.
Right, but she doesn't. It doesn't help.
No. And so she's like, I know I'm not the most coordinated person, but I just know that if I had the right coach, I would be able to do it. And she's like, if you don't really feel like you're up for the challenge, then I'll just go the rest of my life never knowing what it was like to be on a team. And Tony's like, okay, great, thanks. But Angela wears him down. And then he's trying to tell her, you don't want to play baseball because you get all sweaty and the hat leaves weird dents in your hair.
I know, because immediately goes down that road.
So she wears him down and he decides that he's going to let her play. And she punches him again because she's so excited. And he's not happy with that either.
No, he says that's twice because
right.
she punched him twice.
Right. Yeah, I totally missed that. I thought it was like 3 strikes, you're out, and she had 2 strikes, but I get it now because it was because she had punched him once.
She already punched him right before that.
And then she punched him twice. Yeah. So now we go to Tony showing Angela how to play baseball in the backyard. And she comes out and she says, I think you gave me the wrong glove because this goes on a left hand. And he's like, no, I know this. You hold it in your left hand and you throw with your right hand. Catch it.
Well, if she's right-handed, yeah.
Right.
If you're left-handed, the glove would be on the right hand.
Right, because you need it on whatever hand you don't throw with.
Right.
And she's got her hair up in pigtails, so we've got like little. This is like athletic, ready to move Angela.
Oh yeah.
What are those Barbies that our kids have? The made to move. This is made to move Angela.
Made to move Angela.
She's in jeans and a sweatshirt with a polo popped collar and her hair in pigtails. Yeah, so she's ready to go.
She's really dressed down.
So he's like, okay, show me your stance. And then she looks like she's about to flip a letter on the Wheel of Fortune. That is not a baseball stance.
How would she know what a baseball stance is?
I mean, I guess not, but wouldn't you at least think that it would be something holding a bat?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Not posing like a ballet. You're at the ballet.
Oh, wait, I forgot a funny thing about the left hand. And she was like, when she had her glove on the left hand, she threw with the right hand. She said, I guess that keeps the game moving.
Right.
And then Tony made a joke. Yeah, baseball is hurry, hurry, hurry.
That's right, and which baseball is very slow.
Right, because everyone complains that baseball is very slow. Even I know that one. Okay, so he's like, okay, take the bat. Let me show you. Let me see you getting ready to hit. And she holds it like she's going to smack someone over the head with it.
I know.
So he's like, okay, that's not how you hold it. So he's getting ready to show her how to hold the bat, and the kids ride up on their bicycles, and they're like, what is happening? And Tony's like, Angela's taking some batting practice. And Jonathan's like, Mom is batting.
Right. And he's not having it.
No. So Tony asks Jonathan, go to the end of the driveway so that you can catch the balls. And he asks, and Jonathan's like, okay, but I'm taking a book with me also. And he asks him, and Angela tells him it goes on the left hand when he gets the glove handed to him. Now, Jonathan has lived with Tony long enough now that he certainly knows what hand the glove goes on.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah. Jonathan's not the most athletic, but he's learned some stuff from Tony. So he asks Sam to pitch for them. So Sam's like, oh, well, what if she accidentally throws a ball into the Hayburns' yard and like smashes a window?
Or she hits a ball.
Right. Hits a ball into the Hayburns. What did I say?
Throws a ball.
Oh, right. And they have a joke about the fact that the Hayburns is across the street and there's no way Angela's going to hit a ball that far.
Right.
So Sam starts throwing.
They just laugh.
I know. Sam starts throwing, and Angela's like, I wasn't ready. Can you throw it slower? Like, she's getting a little embarrassed, and she's getting a bit anxious and angry in her Angela way. And Tony's like, it's fine, just calm down. No, there's no pressure. We're just playing around here, so just focus and hit the ball.
Yeah, she asked for it to be thrown slower. He says, she could, but then we'd have to call this bowling. So they cut to, it's now nighttime, and Angela has still not hit the ball.
And so Tony is like, will you please hit one ball? And Sam's complaining that her arm's getting tired. Jonathan's complaining it's now too dark to read where he's sitting.
And then Tony's shirt is out.
Right.
Like it was all tucked in. He looked nice. Now it's all out, and it maybe looks like he's been sweating. I don't know for sure.
And Angela's hair is all disheveled.
I know. It's just funny.
The sweatshirt's like drooping. Yeah. It's hours later. Everybody's probably hungry. I don't think they had dinner.
Yeah. And they're really hungry because nobody ate a damn thing the night before. Yeah. So they're probably starving.
I hope they had a big lunch today.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So he's like, you just keep your eye on the ball. And he's shoving the ball in his eye. He's like, what is so hard about this? Why can you not hit it? So she says, you're making me nervous. And he's like, I'm making you nervous. You're making me nervous because if you want to be on my team, you have to be able to hit a ball. So she's like, maybe I shouldn't be on your team. And he's like, I think that's a good idea.
Right.
So now, Josh.
For some reason, Josh, who's been lingering in the neighborhood or decides to show up.
Hiding behind a tree like Michael Myers.
Did anybody invite him over? Or
I don't think so. I mean.
He just rolled. You know what he was thinking? He had his eye on Angela already. Maybe he was thinking, let me roll up and see what's going on here.
Right. So that's an interesting point that you bring up because I wasn't clear if they were also trying to say that Josh was kind of interested in Angela because they go out the following night, but I couldn't tell if it was like a work thing or not.
I don't know. I feel like it was maybe kind of a date, but I feel like he immediately took to her. I thought maybe I read that wrong. I thought maybe he was. Yeah, they were insinuating he was interested.
I kind of get that feeling as well, and it's also like another competition thing with Tony, like. Maybe he gets the feeling that Tony likes her, although they didn't really do a good job of showing that, if that's true, and then was going to steal her also. Mm. So Josh comes up, and
he shows Angela how to hit.
Yeah, he's like, what's happening? What's going on? She's explains.
Tony's 3 hours of coaching did nothing. Yeah. Josh walks in and says, keep your eye on the ball and move your body and swing this way or whatever.
But see, what Tony didn't do was get up all behind Angela like this guy.
Yeah, Josh did.
Yeah, he's like got his hands around the bat.
And practically dry humping.
Tony was playing it all respectful and cool and just trying to say it with words. So she immediately hits a ball the first time after Josh shows her. And then she's like, how come you didn't show me all that stuff or tell me all that stuff? And Tony's like, that's exactly what I said to you hours ago. So Josh says, well, if you're not going to be on Tony's team, then maybe you should be on my team instead. And Angela thinks that's a good idea. So
she's had it with Tony.
Yeah, she's done. So she decides she's going to go play on Tony's team now.
All right.
So as Angela and Josh walk away, Sam's like, oh, this is great. You got rid of Angela.
I know. Not nice.
And then Tony yells at Sam because he says she hung a meatball right over the plate.
Yeah, she did.
So my thought is that means that it was such a slow
Yeah, just
And-
an easy pitch to hit.
that she was able to
Right
hit it.
down the middle.
Got it.
Easy to hit. That's what hanging. It's actually a thing, hanging a meatball.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just
It's
a
not
Tony
just a
thing
who's the
because
boss
he's
thing. Yeah,
Italian
it's an
and plays
actual
baseball. Oh,
hanging a meatball is giving the hitter something to hit.
Gotcha. Okay, so now the next day, Mona's comes into the living room and Tony is folding up his shirts that he's so excited about. And so he shows her that he's made
Tony's Tigers.
t-shirts that say Tony's Tigers. And like it's so obvious they're homemade. His lettering is kind of crooked on some of them. It's super
poor
cute.
Tony.
But he tells Mona like this is going to be great because I got one of these for everyone on the team. And
I mean, he must have spent a lot of time making those.
yeah,
It's a lot of ironing.
Yeah, he had those
Because
individual
those letters were
letters.
right. They're iron-on letters.
Yeah, and you lay them out, and then you iron over it with the wax paper or parchment paper. Yeah, parchment paper. Don't use wax paper.
No, you'll be in trouble.
You get wax all over the place. Yeah, so he's like, this is going to be just a little bit of psychological edge that's so important. Then the doorbell rings, and he answers it, and Josh is standing there with a uniform that's like a full outfit.
jumpsuit.
It's like a jumpsuit, yeah. And it's totally professional.
do
None
you
of
get
those
into
letters
that
are
thing?
crooked.
How do you get into it? You can't get in through the neck.
Yeah, maybe the neck's really stretchy.
Oh, put it. That'd be
I
ridiculous.
don't
Like an
see a
adult
zipper in
trying to
the
put that
back.
thing on.
Maybe it's like a onesie, and in between the legs snap.
Like kids' pajamas. I had pajamas like that.
But it's totally professional.
And who's
looking.
wearing the one he's holding?
That's Angela's
Okay.
uniform. Yeah, he
Oh,
brought it over
all right.
for her.
Okay.
So he is there to pick up Angela and take her out. So this is where I wasn't sure if this was just like a date or if they were doing some kind of like work dinner. But she comes down
No,
in a
but
dress with an enormous bow.
Right. Sometimes, yeah.
Like the bow takes over her entire shoulder and then crosses below her neck almost
Yeah.
to the other shoulder.
The bow's about 2 feet long. It's a conversation piece.
Yeah, so crazy. Now, on the way out the door, which is what made me think that this is a date, she says, "Don't wait up."
Right.
And then Tony's kind of like, hey, wait. And he points his finger out to say something to Angela, and Josh just sticks Angela's uniform on Tony's finger to take inside. And hang up.
Yeah. You show him, and then Tony throws the uniform.
Right, yeah, he's so mad. So he sits back down, he tells Mona, like, there's no way I'm losing this game. So I'm wondering if they are kind of playing into, like, now Tony's really, amped up because not only is there this competition between the game, but he's taking Angela out on a date now.
Well, and Josh took his place in the majors.
Right, yeah.
Because
So
he says that he hurt his shoulder. Josh went up. Josh came up because Tony was on top, hurt his shoulder, and then he was done. And then
Right,
Josh
and then
came up
Josh
and went
came
on to
up.
fame and fortune.
Right.
So Josh kind of took over where Tony left off again.
Right. Josh
And he's
is
doing
not
the
a
same thing.
housekeeper.
Doing the same thing with it. Well,
Yeah, that's true. Like, maybe this is also Tony seeing what his life would have been if he hadn't hurt his shoulder.
and now he's taking Angela out.
Right.
Josh is.
And he's not cleaning her kitchen instead.
He's ironing letters on a shirt.
So they kind of go. Tony and Mona have a little heart to heart.
Right.
About,
She has an antidote. Is that the
Yeah.
word?
I think so. Or she has she tells a comparison story about how
Gwendolyn.
Gwendolyn.
Or Gwendolyn.
She and Gwendolyn were friends, and they competed for everything, and she knows what it's like to come in second best. And Tony's like, "Oh, poor Mona," and then she's like, "Poor Mona, poor Gwendolyn." So
Right.
really, in her scenario, she's the Josh,
Of course.
and
right. Of course she
Gwendolyn's
is.
the Tony.
Of course.
Right. But then my favorite part of that scene is right at the end, as they're like fading out. Tony says, "Why do I come here?"
I know. It was almost like it was ad-lib, but they left it in because it was so awesome.
I don't know if it was in the closed captioning.
Why
It
did
must
they
have
come?
been, actually.
It
Because,
is. So we wouldn't have noticed it.
Yeah. It was so funny. Why do I come
Why do I come here?
Okay, so now it's the day of the game. And Mona is the umpire.
She comes running in, and apparently a full umpire outfit she found somewhere
Right, yes.
with what appears to be shoulder pads. I mean, an ump's outfit does, but these are like
Right.
shiny.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a fashionable.
What kind of training do you need to be an umpire?
I mean, a lot. So you got to understand balls and strikes and where to call an out. And
it seems like
when someone hits a pop-up.
But in a Sandlot game, like, would it be completely unrealistic for just some woman to be the umpire?
No. I mean, not if they know what they're talking about, just like any man.
It's just one of those things that they like to throw in about Mona, where like Mona just
I mean, like,
knows
it could
how
be,
to be an
that's a
umpire.
good point. Mona maybe understands the game and knows how to be an umpire.
Right. And
maybe that's what she does, and we didn't know.
We just never knew that. Like Angela growing up, who has zero sports skills or knowledge, her mom was out at the softball field every Saturday.
Learning.
Doing her own pickup games, and is now an umpire. Okay, so Tony and Angela
runs in.
Yeah, she's amped. She's ready to go. So Tony had some kind of pants to go with his shirt. It just wasn't like the full uniform. So Tony and Angela are both in their uniforms. That's what you call it, right?
Yes, okay. Uniform. Yes.
I have to catch myself from saying costume every time.
Yeah, no, don't say costume. It's not a baseball costume.
And they look super cute. And Angela's like, this feels weird because we're not on. Oh, he says, well, you shouldn't have tucked your shirt in so tight, which is silly. But also, we all know this is a jumper because we just saw that and had a conversation about it. But she's like, no, it feels strange to be on opposite sides. And then Tony apologizes. He says, I'm sorry I was so rough on you in the backyard.
I know.
I got a little carried away.
Carried away. What was going on in the backyard?
And then they decide to make a pact that no matter what happens today, they're still going to be friends. Like, of course they're going to be friends.
Right. She's his boss, right. So...
Like, no, if I lose this game today, I am moving out. Yeah, this is over. We are done. So they, to shake on the Tony spits in his hand and holds it out to Angela. Now, this ends up in the open. And so then Angela daintily spits in her own hand. They shake, and you can tell Angela's dying inside. And then he smacks her on the face with the palm.
It's like, good.
It's so gross.
I know, it's disgusting.
Everything about it is disgusting. Okay, so then now we're off to the game. They go play. Dr. Ferguson shows up as they're warming up, and he's not in a uniform. And Tony's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you dressed? You're late. And Dr. Ferguson says, I have emergency surgery, a bypass, and he's going to be there all day. And Tony says, can it wait?
Right.
And Dr. Ferguson's like, yeah, I'm sure I could wait, but I don't know about the patient. So he's like, I'm real sorry.
Like, if it was that much of an emergency, do you think he'd really drive all the way to the field to tell Tony?
I know.
He couldn't make it, meanwhile the guy's suffering.
Right. He would have just had somebody call him, I'm sure.
But call him where? Can't call him on cell phone.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Maybe he had to go out there.
That's true, yeah. Or he could have sent somebody else. But, it's probably like... I don't know. I had an emergency appendectomy, and I was still waiting like 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably like it's scheduled for later that day, and then he just can't be there. So Tony's like, okay, well, and Dr. Ferguson says, all right, well, good luck. I hope you kill him. And Tony's like, yeah, you too. And then he's like, oh, no, wait.
I hope you kill him.
So now Tony has to find another player for his team. And Josh is like, what are you going to do? Like, oh, no, this sucks.
Josh is right there, too, creeping again. He runs right up.
Yes, all the time. So Tony says that he could ask his grandmother, and she could beat you even without a new hip.
Poor grandma.
I'm pretty sure all of Tony's family's dead. Either that or he never goes to see grandma ever. Only one who gets to visit is Mrs. Rossini. Okay, so Tony goes into the stands to find a couple of guys, or a guy.
And what's amazing about the stands is the fact that it's obvious it's a studio. Like, they cut from Tony actually being outside at a baseball field. And when they talk to anybody in the stands, it's just a terrible, studio. Definitely. You could just tell they're indoors.
Now, I wonder, okay, so I believe that the show had a softball team. And I wonder if any of the people on the team that are playing here are like part of the softball team.
Oh, that's possible.
Like
yeah.
whatever crew members or whatever.
And I wonder what field this is because it almost looks like the Bad News Bears field, which is up in Chatsworth, because it looked just like that, and it's 4. I mean, a lot of them are 4 fields, but
they all look the same.
But the houses, I don't know, it just looks, because the way that one is in the neighborhood. Because there's another one that looks like that up on the Sepulveda Pass that looks like this, but there's no houses around like this.
Oh, gotcha.
This one looks like that. I mean, there's a million fields here.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll stop.
So he goes into the stands, and now we get a few cameos by real baseball players or people.
But people.
Was Billy Martin a player?
Billy Martin, yes, was a player. Player and a manager.
Okay. So in the stands is Billy Martin and Steve Sachs.
Yes.
And he's asking them to either of you play baseball. And Billy Martin is known for what? Being a manager?
Well, second base and being a manager. But what's funny here is why are they just playing a chess game in the middle of a softball game? Spectating a softball game, they're playing chess.
But
that was kind of funny.
And what's funny also is, like, who showed up to this game? It's like adults that they put this game together a week ago, and these stands are packed.
It's random.
There's like a lot of people there. Yeah, and then random people that they don't know. So you would imagine that anyone's there would be family members of other people already playing.
That's right.
But maybe this is just where they do their chess every Sunday or something.
They go watch pickup baseball games and play chess in the stands.
Yeah. So Billy says that chess is his game. Or wait, did Steve say that?
Yeah, checkmate. Yes.
So,
but then he immediately loses, checkmate. Billy Martin gets checkmate, and then Steve Sachs is free to play.
Okay.
He's like, well, I can play now.
Right. So he runs down and introduces himself to Tony, and then now we see him switching from the studio shot to also being there.
Well, before we get to that, one quick side joke. Like, there's a lot of baseball jokes in here, and not only are they baseball jokes, but they're baseball jokes that were relevant at the time, not now. So, like he says to Billy Martin, Billy Martin's like, why don't you give the kid a shot? And then Tony says, hey, well, what are you, some kind of manager? And he's like, off and on, because Billy Martin was hired and fired by George Steinbrenner for the New York Yankees 5 times.
Oh, wow.
He was manager on and off 5 times.
That's
so that's why he says on and off. So kind of funny.
That is funny.
You wouldn't, now you'd be like, what, on and on?
Well,
we know who he is.
I mean, I'm sure
unless you know who he is.
Yeah, and you know baseball. I don't know.
Right, and I know who Billy Martin grew up with. Billy Martin managing the Yankees on and off.
So Steve goes down, and Tony's like, oh, you're in really good shape. You know, like, what do you do? And he says, I'm a musician. And he said, what do you play? He says, sax.
No.
So like, that's gotta. I guess that's just a joke because his name is Steve Sachs.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to be like silly. Like, oh, he's a really good baseball player, but I mean, obviously he's not playing himself, or Tony would know who he is.
Right. Exactly. He's just playing a guy named Steve. Okay. So then Steve goes out to get ready to play in the game. So now we kind of. Oh, and then we see Bob Uecker.
Bob Uecker.
Okay.
Mr. Baseball.
So tell us a little bit about him.
Bob Uecker was a catcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, but he didn't play very long. But he became a broadcaster, and he's been a broadcaster ever since for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, and he looks familiar to me.
Well, he was in Major League, the movie Major League. He's the announcer in that, and he's just like a comedian. He was in a lot of Johnny Carson, Saturday Night Live, all that stuff.
Now, was this the same guy that we get the joke in a previous episode, Keeping Up with the Marcys, I believe, when Marcy's dad says, I have a beer bottle signed by
Bob Uecker because
he
played for the Brewers.
Okay.
Milwaukee Brewers beer bottle.
Got it. Okay.
Yes, same thing.
All right, so now we heard about him on the show, and now we're seeing him.
Yeah, but he only played for a couple of years. But he's still, from 1971 until now, he's still the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Wow, okay.
Broadcaster, yep.
So he's looking around trying to find a place to sit, and nobody wants him to sit next to them. So he ends up all the way in the back. And then he makes a joke that if we turn the field around, he'd be in the front row.
And that's very Bob Uecker. I'd be in the front row. And that's probably a reference to what was known in Miller Park as the Uecker seats, where it was a section of dollar seating and Miller Park, which it had obstructed view.
Oh,
They were obstructed view seats, so it's a reference to that because he used to sit in the back.
Yeah, because he's like trying to look around everyone to be able to see what's going on.
So they were obstructed view. You couldn't see the whole field, and you had to look around stuff, and those were the euchre seats. So that's probably what that is a reference to.
All right, so now, and also I think it's funny that the signs, so like if you look at the signs behind Josh's team, it's all Josh's Giants, and it looks really nice handwriting. And then Tony's to the Tigers, it looks a little bit like a third grader made it. Like, it's not quite as nice as Josh's stuff.
Well,
so
everything about Josh's stuff is a little more, it's a little slicker.
Yeah. So now we go into this montage of everyone playing ball.
Yeah.
And like I'm really curious to see like who some of these people are. They're in the stands that are like playing. Were they part of the show or crew members or something?
Or I wonder if they just kind of actually played a game and just shot it and got clips from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe had
knows?
fun playing a game or whatever. Yeah, it's interesting.
I feel like, Tony had to get in some slick moves there. Like he slides into...
he dives in like a lunatic.
Right. And that ends up being in the opening as well.
Which I don't know why, because he's called out.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think because it's that like fancy dive there.
I know. It's all dramatic and slow motion.
And now Angela's the only one not playing. She's kind of like sitting off on the side. Yeah, so a lady's catching, there's in the montage, a lady's catching a ball in the air and it just smacks her in the head.
It hits her glove and smashes her face.
Yeah, and you can hear the audience like react to watching that on the recording even, but I'm guessing she was fine.
I guess so. It looked terrible.
Angela looks all sad. She's just sitting there not playing yet. She's hoping that she can get in the game soon. Mona's goosing the catcher for some reason. Of course. Yeah, so everybody's having a good time. So now, and then there's also Tony and Mona fighting when he slides in and he doesn't think he's out and he's kicking dirt on her.
Right, yeah, of course. The kicking sand, very baseball player.
Right, and now did Billy Martin kick sand? Because he's like cheering Tony on as he's kicking sand at
Yes,
Mona.
Billy Martin was known for carrying on and getting thrown out of games as a manager.
He's cheering Tony on there, which is funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting towards the end of the game. And Steve asked Tony, like, oh, how are you feeling? You okay?
Again, they show another shot of Tony diving for like 5 feet. That's hilarious. They just keep showing him doing that.
Well, he's got to show off because...
He's going to break his ribs.
One, he's Tony Danza. He jumps over living room furniture.
He jumps over furniture that doesn't exist.
Right, yes. And then, Tony Micelli is one of 2 professional ball players who are on these teams, so he's got to show off. And he's showing off in front of Josh.
Okay.
And he's probably showing off in front of Angela a bit,
That's true, too.
But poor Angela's still sitting on the bench, so...
I know. Sad.
We're getting to the end of the game here, and Steve's asking Tony, like, oh, how are you feeling? He's like, I'm good. I'm getting a little tired, but I'm fine. So he's like, I wonder who's up next. And Steve says, well, I hope it's that girl. And he points to Angela, because Angela still hasn't...
Who's not a girl?
Hit yet, right? No. She still hasn't hit yet. And he says she looks like an easy out. So Angela's talking to Josh, and she's like, is it time to use your secret weapon yet? Like, can I go out and play? And he's like, no, not yet. He's like, there's 2 men out. He's 2 men out on bases. So if you go out there and you strike out, we're going to lose the game. So then Angela's like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't play at all. And Tony's listening.
Who snuck up just like Josh kept sneaking up on.
Move. Yeah.
He did a Josh.
And he's like, oh, no, we agreed that everyone has to play.
Yeah, the rules are the rules.
But then Angela says to Tony, you don't understand. I could lose the game, and then I would be humiliated.
I know, it's just kind of, it's very Jonathan. There's a Jonathan feel to it.
It is. It's very sad. So Tony doesn't care at this point, though. He's like, I'm real sorry about that, but rules are rules.
Yeah, play her in.
Everybody has to play, so you're getting in there. So Josh hands her the bat, and he is like angry.
He throws the clipboard.
He does. Yeah. There will not be a second date between these 2.
Or will there be? Maybe.
Between her and Josh?
Yeah.
Oh, well, hang on. Even if he's interested later, she's not. So he's ready to start packing up his bats and go home. So Billy Martin comes over to Jonathan. He asks who's up, and Jonathan says, "It's my mom, and she's real bad."
I know.
And then Billy Martin makes another inside joke of, "Well, maybe you can trade her."
Right. And he says Steinbrenner's always looking.
Right.
Because Steinbrenner's known to make trades and gets the best players or the worst, whatever. So.
So on Angela's way out there, she sees her mom, and her mom's like, "Here's a word of advice." And she's like, "Please, anything." And she just says, "Don't blow it."
Right. The classic Mona.
Yeah. So immediately, Angela strikes out twice. And like the first pitch, I mean, was she even ready? They just really threw that fast.
Yeah, they're coming at her.
I guess you have to just be ready. So now her mom is like trying to give her a small pep talk, just no matter what happens,
right, because she has
just
two
swing at
strikes. But it's pretty awesome though, because normally, even when she first walked up, she's like, "Don't blow it," whatever.
Right.
No help. But then here, it's kind of sweet that she's just like, you don't want to go down on 3 strikes by not swinging the ball.
Right.
So if this thing comes over the plate, you swing at it.
Right.
So it's kind of like she was giving her, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some kind of motivation to swing.
If only she would have invited Angela to all these games she played when Angela was growing up, Angela wouldn't be in this situation. She'd know what to do.
Right. Well.
Maybe that was Mona's mommy time.
Right. All these games
that was her me time.
Yeah. I'm going to play ball.
So Angela's ready. She goes out there again, and then
it's a serious look on her face.
Yeah, Tony's looking at Josh. She's looking at Tony. Tony's looking at her.
Josh starts packing up the baseball bats, the bent ones. See that bent baseball bat? I don't know why that one's bent.
Oh, maybe he threw it in anger earlier. Tony throws the ball. It's all in slow motion. It's very dramatic. And then Angela hits it.
Yeah, she crushes it.
For
only hitting once before in the driveway where it didn't even get any air. All of a sudden, she's Babe Ruth. So you can just crush it. I mean, look at it. It's way up by the trash can.
Because maybe she just stopped overthinking it. Her mom said just swing.
She did.
And just look at the ball and just swing. And she did. So now Angela's like so startled that this actually happened that she's just standing there. And her mom's like, "Now drop the bat," and then she's like, "Run that way and then go left."
Then go left.
Basically coaxing her on how to go around the bases.
And she's like, "That's a grand slam." So
yeah, so now there were 2 people on bases, so they came home, and then does Angela go home too? I'm guessing, right? Because there would have been no one to stop her.
Right.
Unless they finally got
She does
out.
go.
Okay.
But the extras in the crowd are ridiculous looking, the way they are. They're like overacting.
Yeah, well,
it's hilarious.
Of course. And they're very excited. And Jonathan says to Samantha, "My mom just beat your dad."
I know.
This is probably the only time this would ever happen.
The only time she's ever going to say that.
Yeah. So everyone is super excited on Angela's team. And then Tony's like, "Congratulations. Looks like your strategy backfired." And Tony's like, "Yeah, I guess she'll always just be one up on me."
That's right.
So Josh goes up to Angela and says, "I knew you could do it." And Angela's like, "Sure you did."
Right.
And she just kind of disses him and then runs over to Tony because she wants him to have seen that she hit the ball. And then she feels a little bad because she knows that this means that he lost. But she was just so excited that she actually hit the ball.
That's right.
And I love her hair because her hair is so dented.
It is. Like Tony warned her.
Tony warned her. It looks like the low flow shower head from Seinfeld. Like her hair is just kind of all pushed down on her head. So Tony's like, "Congratulations and go enjoy this because it feels pretty good, doesn't it?" And she says it does. Yeah. So she runs off to go cheer with her team, and they're holding her up. And this is Angela's big moment. Like, nothing like this has ever happened to her before and will never happen to her again.
That's right. She went from not knowing anything about the game to hitting a grand slam.
Right. So Sam goes up to Tony and she says, "What kind of pitch was that? You hung a meatball right over the plate." And Tony says, "Shh." Mm-hmm. And she says, "You're a good guy, Dad." And so
Yeah, it's
now,
it's-
basically, Tony made it super easy so that Angela. Okay, but so why weren't they hanging meatballs over the plate the whole night before to get her to practice and actually hit some stuff?
Well, we'll never know.
So Tony basically gave up the win so that Angela wouldn't be humiliated, which is very sweet.
Yes, very nice.
So there's definitely no second date between Angela and Josh, because even though he probably wasn't annoyed with her anymore, she didn't want anything to do with him.
Right. Well, he was all happy now.
Right.
But before he was throwing bats
Right.
and clipboards and stuff.
So then the tease is the tag at the end is pretty cute. It's Steve Sachs.
Yeah.
He's come over. Maybe Angela's going to date Steve now.
Yeah.
She got rid of Josh. And so she's trying to show him how to hit the ball. And like her stance is much different than before. The hair is not in pigtails.
I know. And she's like, Steve, let me show you how to hit the ball. All of a sudden, she's the expert.
Right. She's very relaxed, looking very confident. Yeah, trying to show Steve how to hit the ball. So she goes through all the same motions that kind of Josh went with him, and then she smacks his butt as she walks away
awesome.
from him.
Such a baseball player thing to do.
Then she looks a little embarrassed about it.
Yeah, she's like, I should have done it.
Not in front of the kids, Angela. So he hits the ball, and then we hear a crack. And they're like, uh-oh. And so Steve says, I think I hear my mother calling. And he runs away.
Like a child.
Grown man runs away.
And it would have been, what year was this episode?
This is 1986.
Okay, so he was playing for the Dodgers at the time. So it probably was really easy to get him to come on the show.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, because he was local.
Because he was local.
Right,
he was
right,
in town.
yeah.
And they maybe were not playing at the time or something.
Right.
But he played for the Dodgers from 1981 to 1988.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he runs away, and then Samantha goes to check it out. She comes back, and she's like, it's worse than I thought. And Angela's like, the hay burns? And she's like, no, you wish. And then Samantha goes running into the house as if Tony beats all of them on the regular. Like, she's really acting scared.
I know, it's kind of disturbing.
I know. Like, we all know Tony has a temper, but settle down, everyone.
Right.
It's not going to hurt anyone.
It's going to be a night of beatings.
Right.
Because the van windshield is broken.
Right.
Which she probably did him a favor, because that windshield probably already had a few cracks or was damaged in some way or another. Yeah. And now Angela's got to pay for a new windshield. So she probably did him a favor.
Right. Yeah. So the ball went through the windshield, landed in his front seat. And then Angela says, I think I hear my mother. And she runs away, and Tony chases her. And that's the
funny.
end. Yes. Cute.
Yep. Good.
All right. So you did rating you did rating first last time, I think.
Oh, I did?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I gave this episode a 7.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's a little low, but only because I guess I just don't really understand the baseball stuff as much. Like,
Gotcha.
it's a cute episode, and it's a good storyline, but it's just probably not one of my favorites that I would want to watch. And then kind of like that, I don't know, crazy competitive side of Tony that
we
I
get
see.
that.
But it does have a very cute ending, and I liked the baseball montage stuff.
Yeah, that was good. That was done well. Except for the poor lady that got hit in the face with the softball.
Oh, yeah. Maybe those are writers or stuff. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if they just did a whole crew.
Yeah, probably
cast or writers and everything, had a softball game and then kind of shot it at the same time.
Did you give this a 9.5?
No, I didn't. I didn't, but I did give it an 8. Only because I enjoyed the baseball aspects of it, and then Billy Martin was in it. But I mean, beyond that, I like that for the most part. It didn't have any filler, which we've been getting a lot lately. Like, the clothes was still
that's true.
Cute and funny, and there wasn't except for obviously the beginning where Samantha's getting her dress done, but that's just a normal thing going on. They're not with Jonathan with the last episode and the dancing, and then it goes nowhere.
Right. Yes,
they're
that's
just
true.
they just were thinking of things to do with the kids. Maybe they were just teaching them to dance, but I'm just saying there wasn't really any holes. It was an airtight script. Is what I'm saying.
There really is just like an A storyline, and everyone is kind of interweaved into that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it had a lot of, it had everybody. It had the kids, had, quite a bit of the kids, quite a bit of Mona.
Right.
Like pretty much everybody was in the whole episode, which I thought was good.
It's good.
So yeah,
true.
that's all.
Okay. Right.
Who's the boss around here? Me? Or my mother? Or maybe it's you!
All right. So I went with Tony.
All right.
I think it was obvious. It was Tony. He, was trying to teach her how to. He spent 4 hours in the yard trying to teach Angela how to swing a bat. And even though he was against her and on the field, he still threw the meatball. And he was kind of kept things in control, I think, the whole episode. And he still, he let her hit the ball and win the game, which was kind of a nice, sweet moment for them. So, I just think Tony was the boss.
Yes, I agree. Totally. Even though Mona just knew how to be an umpire out of nowhere.
Yeah, and also gave her great advice, but Tony still had more moments.
Yeah, no, I agree. For the exact same reasons. And for the fact that he kind of threw the game at the end so that she wouldn't be embarrassed. All right. Yeah. So you can reach us at Who's the Boss Podcast on Instagram, Who's the Boss Pod 1 on Twitter, the Who's the Boss Podcast page on Facebook, or anchor.fm/WTBB podcast. And there you can leave us a voice message.
Yeah.
Okay, so now next time, if you're watching this on Amazon Prime, the next episode is going to be Charmed Lives. But according to the TV Guide...
which is what we go by.
Yes.
The next
anniversary show aired on May 6th.
Okay.
And Charmed Lives aired on May 13th. And I think it makes more sense in this order.
Right, because they kind of did their finale, and then they tried to launch this spinoff.
Yeah, and I can see spin-off. So I can see why Amazon Prime or other streaming services may have the anniversary as this finale, because it is kind of a heavy ending. Not heavy, but
a finale type ending.
Right, yes. And then to go into Charmed Lives seems kind of odd. But I really consider Charmed Lives to be outside of Who's the Boss, because that episode only has like 3 minutes of Tony, Mona, and Angela, and then Angela's just kind of a little bit in the rest of the episode. We debated even doing this episode.
I know. I've never even seen that episode. I mean, I'm sure I did, but I don't. Before we even decided to do the podcast, we'd watch Who's the Boss every once in a while, and I don't even think I've rewatched it.
No, yeah.
I didn't even know what you were watching earlier when we got home, and it was on.
He thought it was Bosom Buddies.
I thought it was Bosom Buddies because I saw the woman from Bosom Buddies.
Right. But when I let it run, so today I was watching this episode, and I let it run into the other one, and I started watching it, and I was like, yeah, I really do think that we should do a podcast on it. So it'll probably be short, but I think there's some decent stuff to talk about. Plus, it's Fran Drescher and Donna Dixon. So.
Plus, we said we do every episode.
I know, right? Exactly, because otherwise we'd be lying.
And the fans would be outraged and show up with burning stakes in front of the house.
If we don't cover Charmed Lives.
Right.
Starring Fran Drescher and Donna Dixon. But, so the next episode we cover is going to be The Anniversary.
All right.
Which is a good one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I kind of don't remember it.
Oh, really? Oh,
I mean, it'll come back to me, but I don't.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of nice to watch it.
And I found a shooting script. So, like, not a transcript, but an actual, like, script from when they were shooting. And so some of the directional cues during their anniversary dinner is interesting. And then the tag was actually completely removed. So... I'll read a little bit of what that is.
Oh,
so
good. That's cool.
Next episode. Yeah,
All right.
I'm excited about that.
I look forward to it. Maybe I'll show up.
All right. Good night, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell all your friends, and give you a big pat on the back. Bye. I added some extra.